particularly on how to determine minus. Okay? So makakasa gawin nyo pati sa plus, mag-KOC kayo. So be careful ha. So if you have 6 minus 3, following KOC. KOC. Keep the first, so it will still be 6. Oh.
Okay, so welcome back to my channel, #MathIsNotAMonster. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button. So today it's my first video lesson. So it's a vlog, okay, video lesson about simplifying and multiplying fractions. So I hope this will help you understand the process on how to simplify and multiply fractions. And aside from that, I hope it will help you understand also how is it being used in your life. So let's not make it longer. Hope you enjoy the video and see you later. Bye.
Okay, so let's start. But before we start with our real discussion, particularly on simplifying and multiplying fractions, we must recall first some skills you have learned before that will help us understand how to multiply and how to simplify fractions. So first we have here the GCF, or as we all know, GCF stands for the greatest common factor. Okay, sir, where are we going to use the GCF? So identifying GCF is very helpful in simplifying the fraction. Okay, so we will be using the GCF to simplify a fraction, and later on we will understand also why is there a need for us to simplify fractions. But first, what is a factor? Factor actually is usually is always incorporated with the term multiples. Whenever you will ask someone about the difference between the two, they will actually get confused with which is which. I mean, which is a factor, which is a multiple. But for now, let's focus on factor. But later on, we will be using multiples also for the other operation. So what is a factor? So factors are actually numbers we multiply. Take note, numbers we multiply to get a certain number. Huh? Sir?
What? Say what?
Say what? Johnny! Say what? Stop it! Listen!
Factors are actually numbers we multiply. Take note, numbers we multiply to get a certain number. Factors are actually numbers we multiply. Take note, numbers we multiply to get a certain number. Ano po? Parang malabo, sir. So now, let's use examples for us to understand. Okay? Example, factors of 6. So, we mean by factors is that we have to look for two numbers that we have to multiply, or numbers that we have to multiply to get a product of a certain number. For example, 6. What two numbers could you think that you have to multiply to get 6? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let me show you examples. Yeah, we have here 1 times 6 equals 6 and 2 times 3 equals 6. Both of them are correct because you arrive at a product of 6. At the product of 6. Okay, so 1 times 6 is 6 and 2 times 3 is 6. So, sir, what are the factors of 6? So, the factors of 6 would be the numbers you multiply, because it says there, factors are numbers we multiply. And what are the numbers you multiply to get 6? We have 1, 6, and 2, and 3. Therefore, the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay? So now, did you get it? So if not, then I'll give you more examples. So how about factors of 12? So I'll give you 10 seconds to think of all the possible pair of numbers whose product is 12. Okay? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So here we have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Okay, therefore the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Okay, let's have one more. How about your factors of 18? Okay, how about the 18, sir? So we have here 1 times 18, it's good. 2 times 9, that's 18 also. 3 times 6, that's 18 also. The factors are 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 18. Okay. Sir, what about the GCF of 12 and 18? By the name itself, greatest common factor. So first, let's identify what are the common factors of 12 and factors of 18. Okay, so we have to look for common factors from those numbers. So how many common factors do you have or do you see? So here we have it. We have 1, 2, 3, and another one which is 6. So therefore we have 4 common factors. But take note, what we only need is the greatest, the highest, okay, the largest. We're after the greatest, largest, or biggest common factor. Okay, so therefore our GCF here is 6. Okay, by now you will be able to recall na what's GCF. But aside from that, we have to use also our basic arithmetic skills. Okay, particularly on division, because we will be using division for simplifying fractions. Okay, we also need to multiply or multiplication for, of course, multiplying numbers, because our lesson is about multiplying numbers. But I'd like to emphasize more on the use of the operation symbol. It's not anymore the X, but we will be using the dot and the parenthesis. Okay, the open and close parenthesis. So again, why we're not using the X as operation? So we avoid using X by this time because you might get confused with it as a variable in algebra. So I'm trying to move you away from that idea that X is an operation. You have to consider X as a variable, not an operation. Okay? So now let's start simplifying and multiplying fractions. Here we go. This time our focus first is on this one, understanding. So let's understand the importance of simplifying fractions in a way of in a real life context and also in computation, particularly on how simplifying fraction is very useful for other operations, for all the operations. Okay, we also have the steps in multiplying fractions, but we have two, so we should be able to learn how to multiply simple fractions, and we should be able to multiply also mixed fraction. I mean, learn how to multiply both simple and mixed fractions. So let's start with this. What are fractions? Okay, I believe you already know what fraction is, right? It is a way to represent numbers that aren't whole, hindi buo. They are just part of something bigger, or a big, one whole big thing. Part lang sila, no? Why it says here a way? Because there are other ways, and I believe you've seen this already. We have there percent and decimals. So percent and decimals are also just part of a whole, or part of something bigger. So I have here examples of fractions. The first one is read as 3 over 5, or could be read also as 3/5. The second one is 3 and 2/3. We have 1 and 1/2. And the last one is 3/4. Those two at the middle are actually mixed fractions, and we will do a separate discussion for that. So this time we will learn how to simplify simple fractions first. So what do we call the numbers below the fraction bar? So we have here, we call it the denominator, or it represents the whole part. So if you have a whole part, the number there represents how many part is it divided. So 5 there means there are 5 parts out of that one whole. Then we have here 3 means the numerator, wherein it is the part, will tell you how many parts are taken or something. Okay, so we have there 3/5, or 3 out of 5. So I believe you already know that one also. But how will we know if a fraction is simplified or not? Okay, when do we know that this fraction could still be simplified? Okay, a fraction is the simplest form or lowest term if and only if there is no more common factor from both the numerator and the denominator. Just like what we have learned, we have reviewed a while ago, right? About GCF. So if there are no more common factors from both the numerator and denominator, then it's simplified. So let's take a look at the following examples. So we have here 2 over 3, and this is simplified already because there is no more common factor from 2 and 3. Next, we have 3 over 5, or 3/5. So this one is in simplest form also, or lowest term, because there is no more common factor. Okay. Next, we have 2 over 7. So this one is also in simplest form because there is no more common factor for 2 and 7. How about 12 and 13? So this one is also in simplest form, or lowest term. So how about 6 over 8? Okay, this one is not yet simplified. So later we will simplify it, because that's our goal. We have to simplify fractions. So in here we have 12 over 15. So it's also not yet been simplified. Same way with our last example, this one could still be simplified. Okay, so we will be using those fractions which are not yet simplified for our discussion. But the next question would be how to simplify. Okay, so there are actually two easy steps to simplify fraction, and the first one is getting the GCF of the numerator and the denominator. Second, we have to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the GCF. So that's why we need to do the GCF first, because we will be using that for our second step. We will divide the numerator and the denominator by our GCF. So let me show you how to do that. Again, we will be using these fractions as our examples since they are not yet been simplified. So let's start again. Simplify 6 over 8. First step, we have to get the GCF of the numerator and the denominator. So let's start with factors of 6, then later factors of 8. So I'll give you 5 seconds to think about the factors of 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So factors could be 1 times 6, 2 times 3. Okay, therefore, the factors are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Let's move to factors of 8. So we have there 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Therefore, the factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. I'd like you to look for the greatest common factor from the factors of 6 and the factors of 8. Very good. Our GCF is 2. Now, for step number 2, we will be using that GCF because we have to divide both the numerator and the denominator by the GCF. So how to do that? So if we have 6 over 8, that's our original fraction, it's our given, divided by 2, both of them, the numerator and denominator. So let's start. 6 divided by 2 will give us 3, and 8 divided by 2 will give us 4. But again, you have to make sure that your final answer is always in simplest form. Is 3 over 4 simplified? Okay, I think it's simplified, therefore that will be our final answer. Okay, let's move. Simplify 12 over 15. So in there, we have to get the GCF again. To start with factors of 12 and factors of 15. So I'll give you 10 seconds to think of the factors of both numbers. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you should have it already, the factors of 12 and 15. So we have here 2 times 6, 1 times 12, and 3 times 4. Therefore, the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. How about factors of 15? What do you have there? 1 times 15, 3 times 5, and therefore, the factors are 1, 3, 5, and 15. Now, 3 seconds. Look for the greatest common factor. 1, 2, and 3. So, there we have it. Our GCF is 3. Did you get it? So, we have to move to our second step. Again, divide both the numerator and the denominator by the GCF. 12 over 15 divided by 3. So 12 by 3 will give us 4, and 15 by 3 will give us 5. Okay, now check, is 4 over 5 simplified? Okay, yes, it's simplified already since we cannot think of other factors, common factors from 4 and 5. Now let's move to our last example, if you're okay with that. So again, GCF, factors of 16 and factors of 24. 10 seconds to think of the factors of those two numbers. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So therefore, the factors are 1 times 16, 2 times 8, 4 times 4. Then there we have it. Next, for factors of 24, we have 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. Therefore, the factors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. As you can see, we have a lot of common factors, but we're after the greatest, the highest. So I'd like you to look for the highest or greatest common factor in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. So therefore, our GCF of 16 and 24 is 8. Now the second step, what's the second step? Okay, we must divide both the numerator and the denominator by the GCF. So we have it, 16 over 24 divided by 8 over 8. So 16 by 8 will give us 2, and 24 by 8 will give us 3. So is it simplified already? Check it first. Yes, it's simplified already. Therefore, our final answer is 2 over 3. Okay, I think if you need one more example, just proceed. But if not, you may move it forward a little bit. But for those who need one more example, just stay. So we have here, we have to simplify 12 over 28. CF, factors of 12, factors of 28, 10 seconds, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Factors of 12 are 2 times 6, 1 times 12, and 3 times 4. Next, we have 1 times 28, 2 times 14, and 4 times 7. So the factors are the following. Now, let's look for the GCF, greatest common factor. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we have 4 as our GCF of 12 and 28. So we will be using that to do the second step and simplify the fraction. So we divide both the numerator and denominator by the GCF, which is 4. So 12 by 4 will give us 3, and 28 by 4 will give us 7. So I hope you get all of that. If you still don't get it, just rewind the video, just go back to a certain part that you don't understand. So now let's move to this one. So let's go back to our competency, our target. So take note that our first target is the importance of simplifying fractions. So let's put simplifying fractions in real life context.
Saan pa po ginagamit yung simplifying of fractions sa totoong buhay?
Ha? Bakit mo naman natanong?
Ano po kasi namin yun sa math lesson po namin.
O tapos, hindi mo ba naintindihan?
Hindi po, yung mga classmate ko lang po kasi nagtataka o nagtatanong kung bakit hindi naman po kasi daw ginagamit yung simplifying of fractions sa totoong buhay.
Mali sila doon. Ginagamit natin yon, hindi lang natin alam. Okay?
Opo.
So, halimbawa, panoorin natin tong video na to.
Po!
6/12,000 ng egg?
Ha? Ha?
Hi, so based dun sa video, sabi 6/12 dozen of eggs. Okay? So, tingin mo, kapag inutusan ka ng nanay mo ng gano'n, maintindihan mo? So, kagaya ng bata sa video, ang tanging sagot mo lang ay ha. Baka nga yung iba, ganito pa ang sagot.
Po!
6/12,000 ng egg?
Ha? Ha? Ha?
Malay mo. Hotdog. Pare-pare.
Po!
6/12,000 ng egg?
Ha? Ha? Ha?
Sino kausap mo? Ha? Sino kausap mo? Ha? Hotdog.
I believe that video is funny, but again, bawal gayahin yun ha. Huwag niyong gagawin yun. And some of you are fond of doing that, saying ha, hot dog. Okay, so please, don't do that. Okay, so let's watch this next video that will show how important simplifying fractions is.
Kuya, pabili nga ako ng 5/20 kilogram ng espada.
Ha? Ilan? 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 You see from that video, imagine mo, ikaw ba naman sabi mo sa tindero, pabili nga po 5/20 kilograms. Or kung kayo bumili kayo ng kahit anong kinikilo, tapos sabihin nyo sa tindero yun, 5/20 nga po ng ganito. Baka iba to sa inyo yung paninda. Okay? So now, instead of saying those, now let's try to watch the following videos, the proper way of how we use fraction in real life.
Po!
Bili ka ng kalahating dosenang itlog?
Okay po!
Ako ng 1/4 ng espada.
Okay. Now you see from the two videos how fractions simplified are very useful in terms of proper communication. Okay? Because with simplified fraction, a person could easily understand. Simplified fractions means clarity. And basically, when you clarify something, when you say something clearly, it avoids misunderstanding. Just like from the videos, okay? Diba, it says there, instead of saying 6/12, wherein the simplified form is 1/2, okay, 1/2 dozen, and in a dozen, there are 12, okay, 12 pieces of something, of whatever dozen of that, okay? So, it means when you say 1/2, 6 pieces yon, kalahati ng isang dosena. In another term, just like from the video also, it says there 5/20 kilograms. So, instead of saying that, no, baka ma-misunderstood ka pa na ilang kilo, 5 kilos or 20 kilos, no? Pero ang bibilin mo lang naman pala ay 1/4 kilogram. So that's how helpful of simplified fraction. Actually using simplified fraction in other terms. So I believe you've already heard about the term first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. Those are actually fractions. When we say third quarter, that's 3/4. Kasi third of a quarter. Quarter means 4. Third quarter na, malapit na matapos. Meaning, you're about to finish one whole school year.
Alam ko na po yung sasabihin sa kanila. Wait lang, Tito Al, ano nga po pala yung ginagawa nyo po dito?
Nagbibilang ng puno, bored ako eh.
Say what?
Cut! No, 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 man. You're making me fall asleep. To death.
Okay, so now let's continue. So this time we will be moving to multiplying fractions. Now let's have a short recall of our review of our learning competencies. So again, the importance of simplifying fractions. This and this, the steps in multiplying fractions. So let's move to multiplying fractions first. But since we're done with real life context later, all throughout the operations we will describe and understand how is getting the lowest term helpful in computing or doing other operations of fractions. So now simple fractions are represented without whole numbers. Okay, examples are the following: 2/3, 1/5, 3/8, 9/7, 4/12. We will have a separate discussion on the types of fraction. Next, we have also the mixed fractions. So fractions represented with whole numbers. Paano natin malalaman na may whole number? So there is a big number before the fraction. So let's take a look. So for example, 1 and 1/2. A whole number, meaning it's not a fraction, it's a whole number followed by a fraction or together with a fraction. So meaning isang buo at kalahati, 1 and 1/2. So we have 3 and 4/5, 7 and 1/3, and 21 and 1/10. So those are mixed fractions. So later, in a separate video, on my next video, we will upload and discuss how to do multiplication of mixed fraction. But for now, our focus is on simple fraction. So steps on how to multiply fractions in general. Okay, but my examples would be focusing on simple fractions. So step 1, multiply the fractions numerator by numerator and denominator by the denominator. Okay, so numerator, taas, multiply. Also, denominator by the denominator, baba sa baba, in multiply. Okay. Then, second step, make sure the product is always in simplest form or lowest term. We have to ensure na palaging naka-lowest term ang ating sagot or final answer. So let's use the following examples to multiply or to show you how to do multiplying of simple fractions. So let's start with this one. Multiply 2/3 and 1/2. As you can see, we are not using anymore the X symbol as an operation. Instead, this time we use the dot. Okay, so let's start. First step again, numerator by numerator, denominator by the denominator. So if we have here, meaning we have to multiply 2 and 1 because both of them are numerators, and also 3 and 2. So there we have it. Let's multiply now. 2 times 1 will give us 2, and 3 times 2 will give us 6. Step number 2. Make sure the product is always in simplest form or lowest term. Let's take a look at our product. So we have 2 over 6. The question is it simplified already? So it's not yet because we have common factor. Now I'd like you to think of the common factor of 2 and 6. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the GCF is 2. Again, what are we going to do to simplify fractions? If we have the GCF now, so first step we get the GCF. The second step is to divide the fraction by the GCF. So let's divide it. So now we got 1/3 because 2 divided by 2 will give us 1 and 6 divided by 2 will give us 3. If ever you forgot already how to simplify fractions, just go back, rewind the video. Okay? So is 1 over 3 simplified? Then yes. Therefore, it's our final answer. Let's move to our next example. So multiply 5 over 8 times 3 over 10. Okay? So first step, multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by the denominator. So how are we going to do that? So simply 5 times 3 over 8 times 10. As simple as that. Then there we have it. 5 times 3 will give us 15. And 8 times 10 will give us 80. Okay, second step. Make sure the product, or the final answer, should always be in simplest form. So 15 over 80, is it in simplest form? Okay, it's not. Okay, because we could still look for its common factors or GCF. And our GCF this time is, I'll give you 5 seconds to think. Okay, so GCF is 5. If you want, you may list down, pause this video, then list down the factors of 15, especially for 80 since we have a lot. 80 is a big number. So equals 3 over 16. Why? Because 15 you divide it by the GCF 5 will give us 3, and 80 you divide it by the GCF 5 again, it will give us 16. Now, is 3 over 16 simplified? Okay, yes, it's simplified. Okay, therefore, our final answer is 3 over 16. Next. So, multiply 2 over 7 times 3 over 4. First step, multiply numerator by numerator, denominator by denominator. So we have 2 times 3 over 7 times 4. Then there we have it. 2 times 3 will give us 6, and 7 times 4 will give us 28. Next question, is it simplified? So 2 simple steps. First, multiply numerator, numerator, denominator by the denominator. Second, you just have to make sure that your final answer is always in simplest form. So 6 over 28, is it simplified? 4, 3, 2, and 1. So it's not yet simplified. Now let's look for its GCF. 3, 2, 1. If you want longer time, just pause the video. Okay? So we have GCF is 2. Divide the fraction by 2. So we have 6 divided by 2 will give us 3. And 28 divided by 2 will give us 14. Is our answer in simplest form? Yes. Therefore, 6 over 28 is equal to 3 over 14. And 3 over 14 is in simplest form. Now, let's move to our last example. 1/3 times 2 over 7. So multiply numerator. So we have 1 times 2 and 3 times 7. So that's equivalent to 2 over 21. Second step, just check kung simplify. If it's simplified, is it simplified? 2 over 21? Yes, it's simplified. So therefore, our final answer is 2 over 21. So, I hope you understood already all the steps in multiplying fractions, but if you need more examples, you may continue the video, but if not, you may end it. Okay, so now let's proceed if you want more examples. So what if I have 3 fractions to multiply? Do we have to follow the same rule? So let's try. So I have here multiply, so the same rule actually. So that's why we have 2 times 1 times 3, and also on the denominator 3 times 2 times 5. So now let's multiply 2 times 1 times 3, that's 6, and denominator 3 times 2 times 5 will give us 30. Okay, now let's move to second step. Is 6 over 30 simplified? Okay, it's not yet simplified because we could still get its GCF, which is 6. Now we divide the fraction by the GCF, which is 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 30 divided by 6 is 5. So that's why we have here 1 over 5 as our final answer. So it doesn't matter how many fractions you multiply, as long as you remember the rule numerator by numerator and denominator by the denominator. Simple as that. Okay, last example. So multiply this one. So 5 times 1 times 4 over 2 times 3 times 7. So that's equivalent to 20 over 42. Ano ba? Mamaya mali din pala ako. Okay, now let's move to our last step. Make sure the product is always in lowest term. So is it in lowest term? So it's not yet in lowest term. So first we get the GCF. So kindly check and get the GCF. So now GCF is 2. Now let's divide it. 20 divided by 2 will give us 10, and 42 divided by 2 will give us 21. And therefore, that will be our final answer. Okay. So we're done with 2 of our targets. We were able to multiply simple fractions and also put simplifying fractions in real life context.
And that's all for today. I hope you have learned something from this video, and don't forget to come back or return whenever I have my new video. So please stay tuned. I hope I could still make another video. And that's all. See you on my next video. Bye. Keep safe and stay at home. See you.